We are in a stalemate over this stimulus. Let's get into it. President Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief plan already facing pushback. Some are expecting the package could be passed as late as March. Wall Street is betting it's going to come in much lower than $1.9 trillion, even after Treasury Secretary nominee Janet Yellen told lawmakers this week it is critical to pass more economic relief. She urged them to, quote, act big. Joining me right now is Americans for Tax Reform President Grover Norquist. Grover, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for being here. You know, Janet Yellen downplayed potential tax increases this week, saying that the administration's top priority was growth and that we were likely not going to see, tax increases while we're in a pandemic, is what she said. President Biden has signaled plans to raise taxes on the wealthy and corporations. Former President Trump took a swipe at rising tax rates in his farewell address on Wednesday. Here's what President Trump said. Watch.
I hope they don't raise your taxes. But if they do, I told you so.
So what do you think, Grover? You know, there's a report out of Cornerstone Macro this morning that they're predicting the stimulus plan comes in lower, $1.2 to $1.4 trillion, and you'll get higher taxes later on in the year. I don't know if they'll be retroactive. Well, what are your thoughts on the impact of this tax increase and the threat of it?
Well, first, it's not a stimulus. It's just a spending bill. We went through this with Obama. He spent $800 billion right away on stimulus. It just was spending, and we had the weakest recovery since World War II. So this spending does not make the economy grow faster. You're just borrowing against the future. On taxes, Biden has been very clear in his campaign. He wants to take the corporate rate up. I mean, President Trump did a big favor to the country when we took that corporate rate from 35%, higher than China, higher than any other country, took it down to 21. That was Trump's doing. Remember, he argued for 15. The Republican opening bid was 25. By moving to 15, we got to 21. It was a tremendous step in the right direction. We did full expensing. All of these things Biden says he wants to get rid of. He wants to take the corporate rate up to 35% sometimes, 28% sometimes, but always higher than China's, higher than most of the European countries. He has promised to bring back for low-income people the Obamacare penalty tax. That hit 5 million people, three-quarters of whom earned less than $50,000 a year. He wants to impose that. So if you believed the I won't tax anyone who earns less than $400,000, get over it. He's already told you. Janet Yellen, his Treasury Secretary nominee, said in her written testimony that both she and the president want a tax on energy, a carbon tax, a gasoline tax on steroids. That's a tax on every single American. You don't have to make $400,000 a year to fill up your tank. He wants to increase the capital gains tax to ordinary income for every American, Biden says.
Yeah, no, these are all obviously very impactful. And you also have to throw on top of that all of these executive orders for business. I mean, that also represents a tax. When you're making things much more expensive for business, they just, carry on and pass it on to their customers. But I'm glad you brought up the rest of the world, because if we have a corporate tax rate of 35% and the rest of the world is much lower, money is mobile. Companies will leave. That's what we saw under the Obama administration, Grover. Remember that? When so many companies were merging with companies that are based in Ireland, next thing you know, they can say, I'm based in Ireland and my corporate tax rate is 9% versus 35%. Are we going to see a repeat of that? If you're going to strangle business, money is mobile. They'll leave.
Absolutely. Everything that went well during the 4 years when Trump reduced tax rates, gave us full expensing, and deregulated, all becomes undone because Biden has said, I'm going to do the opposite. He's governing as Obama did. And take a look at how the economy did under Obama in terms of the real unemployment rate, the number of people who left looking for work in the United States, and that there was assets and companies and investment that flowed either from other countries, not to the U.S., but to China or Europe, or from the U.S. to China and Europe. And the Biden people, the Obama people, had the audacity to call businesses who fled the 35% rate Benedict Arnold companies. They're, in fact, East German fleeing over the wall is what they were. They've been shot at on the way out the door because they were being pushed out of the country because of the high corporate tax rate that Biden promises to bring back. Sometimes he says 25,
Yeah.
sometimes he says 30. We don't know. We do know it's very much higher than where we are now. And so the series of tax hikes that he wants to put in, he wants a 12% marginal tax rate tax. He calls it a payroll tax on people who make more than $400,000 a year. Okay, pretty stiff marginal tax rate, gets you up to about 50% for people, back to where we were before the Reagan tax cuts. So what? Well, that's not indexed. That's not indexed. You and your children will be paying that 12% additional tax someday.
Wow. This all has great, great impact. We'll keep watching it and putting a spotlight on it, Grover. Thanks very much for weighing in on this. Grover Norquist joining us this morning.